Guys, you ever hear somebody speak, blew your mind, and you had no idea what the fuck they were saying? I often feel like that when I hear lawyers and doctors speak. They speak a whole different language. It's the same thing with SF guys, man. Like certain lingo and certain way that we speak, only another operator is able to pick that up. In today's segment, guys, I'm going to talk about 10 reasons why you should be Special Forces. My name is Jay Dolius. I'm a retired Army Green Beret. The intent behind this channel, guys, is to share my knowledge and wisdom with the next generation. So if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe to help me reach that goal. I appreciate it. Guys, in this segment, I'm talking to two separate groups. I'm talking to the current Special Forces guy that has lost his way and can't remember exactly why he joined the regiment to begin with. I'm also speaking to the 17, 18, 19, 20 plus year old guys that are inspiring to be Green Berets. I just want to throw out a couple of reasons why you should join Special Forces. Now, this list I'm sure can be much longer, all right? Every SF guy has their reason. I just want to share a couple with you and then see if it serves you in one way, shape, or form. With that said, guys, let's get into the number one reason why you ought to consider Special Forces. Reason number one, guys, is it's a very exciting field to be in. The adventure, the unknown. It's very enticing. I remember when I first joined and got to the regiment, like I was so excited. I was like a kid at a candy store because just the adventures and the places that I was gonna get to travel, the people I was gonna get to meet, the soldiers I was gonna get to train with, there's nothing else like it. Over my 15 years in Special Forces, guys, I've had a chance to travel all over the world, met all sorts of people, and experienced all sorts of cultures. There is truly nothing else like this job in the military. I love it. And if God didn't have a plan for me as far as my next mission, I would still be doing it. Reason number two on why you ought to consider Special Forces is because you always have the ability to improve and become your better self. Let me explain. So as a Special Forces guy, you will be placed in a situation that forces you to reinvent who you are every so often. You might find yourself in Afghanistan one rotation, and then the next you're in Iraq, or you're in Syria, or you're in Asia. So you're constantly reinventing your mind. You're constantly playing chess to figure out how to better defeat the enemy. So you're constantly evolving as a human being. Guys, I got to the regiment in 2010. Every year, my mind was changing. My body was changing. The way I speak, the way I saw things, the way I problem solve, was changing every year due to the situations that I was placed in. So that's something that you also have to look forward to if you decide to go Special Forces. Moving on to number three, guys, being a Special Forces guy gives you the freedom to act on certain things on your own. So it's not uncommon in the regiment for you to grab a guy and then you send him off to Mali or to Germany or to some random part of the world to represent a certain unit while he's doing work. Nowhere in the DoD does that exist except for special operations. So if you're a special operations guy, not necessarily just a Green Beret, that is something that's going to be available to you. Moving on to number four reason why you ought to consider joining Special Forces. You become bilingual. You have your own language. And I'm not talking about French, Dari, or Spanish. I'm talking about speaking a language that only Special Forces operators can understand. Hey, 1-2 Bravo, quit giggle pussing around. Puck that motherfucker. Once you're done, flex to building 128. Once you get there, if you become ticked up, I want you to Winchester, the C-130, and I want 20 KIAs. What the fuck are you talking about? It takes another Special Forces operator that speaks awesomeness to understand what the fuck I'm talking about. So once you're in that community, you could communicate in a way that's cool as fuck, that only you guys can understand, and that civilians have no idea what you're talking about, all right? So that's the number fourth reason why you ought to consider joining Special Forces. Number five, guys, no fucking politics. Once we sign on that dotted line, I don't care who's in charge. I don't care who's president. I don't care about any of that. Democrats, Republicans, that shit doesn't matter to me. I sign up to do a job, and once they say go, I'm going. I'm removing politics and all that stuff from it. The guys that don't, they're the ones that have a fucking problem. Reason number six why you ought to consider being a Special Forces guy is you just make a lot more money as it relates to the military and civilian sector at times. Now, if you look at your pay in comparison to a civilian person's paycheck, There's a lot of things that us in the military don't acknowledge as far as the amount that it costs for medical. Like, that's free for us. The amount that it costs for dental, that's free for us, as opposed to folks in the civilian sector are paying an arm and a leg for it. Now, let's fast forward to special forces. There's a bunch of special incentive pays that we get. For starters, we get pro pay, we get language pay, we get demo pay, we get airborne pay, we get dive pay, we get halo pay. Guys, there's a bunch of extra incentives that we get that makes our pay very competitive. And the special operations community did this because they realized that a special forces operator after 7 years can get out and go find a high-paying contracting jobs outside of the military. So they intentionally did this to make it more competitive so guys are staying longer. Moving on to number 7, guys, is you become part of a community. At any given time, guys, I can call any one of my buddies and let them know, hey, I need you here, and they'll be there, and vice versa. So being in this community is truly something worth having. Moving on to the number 8 reason why you ought to consider special forces. If you're a sports guy, it's the closest thing you can get to playing professional sports. It forces you to evolve. It forces you to strategize. It forces you to think outside the box. It is truly a sport of life and death, as I like to call it. No other adrenaline exists than being on the battlefield, running and gunning, trying to outmaneuver your enemy. I love it. Number 9 reason why you ought to consider joining special forces is, guys, you have your own style. I promise you, put me anywhere in the fucking world, and I will pick out every single fucking special operation dudes in that spot as long as I'm around them. I don't care if you're SEAL, CCT, MORSOC, or ASF guy. It's just a certain way that we carry ourselves that you can just pick out the dudes, right? Baseball cap, the 5'11 specials, the Merrills. You can just tell if a dude is special operations or not. Last but not least, guys, the number 10 reason why you should consider joining special operation is you just get respect and envy. I can tell you right now, when I put that beret on and I travel to 82nd Land, I'm just look at a certain light that says, oh, this dude's a fucking badass. That's something that you get once you put that beret on, once you put that tab on your shoulder, and it's a reason worth joining for, guys. Hey, check it out. I hope this was helpful, guys. Again, this is meant to remind current Special Forces operator why they did it to begin with, and this is also meant to inspire the next generation to get a packet together and go to selection and make it happen, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any reasons that I left out why guy ought to try Special Forces, leave it in the comment section below, guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.